It's time for ProAm Prediction.
Hello and welcome back to ProAm Predictions. I am Paul O'D representing the amateur side, and of course on the professional side we have Ryan the Hulk Spillane. How are you doing this week, Ryan?
I'm fantastic. Can we make a comment now about how tired you are because it's 9 o'clock?
Yeah,
it's 9. It's not early. It's not 6 a.m. It's 9.
It's stupid o'clock in the morning for me. Absolutely stupid o'clock.
Stupid o'clock is anything before 6 a.m. to me. Like this is early for me. Like this is normal time to wake up. Like
yeah, I don't sleep at night. I watch the fights. I'm the only one that watches the fights, so that's my get out of the
What fights were on last night then, bud?
There was Tuesday night fights. I don't know.
We're still struggling from Tuesday.
Pretty much, yeah. So this week we are going to talk about UFC Vegas 36, and we were just talking before we came on there that you have a little bit of an vested interest in this card, being that you were over in Team Cowbon training with Darren Till and Tom Aspinall in the build up to this one. How did that go?
So actually I didn't train with Till at all, only trained with Tom. Yeah. Till mocked me in the bathrooms, so I'll take that as we're friends because he took the absolute piss out of me. So we're friends that way. But yeah, train with Tom. Spend a week, spend 4 days with him. Yeah, he's an absolute fucking killer. Like you see him perform on, you're seeing stuff. And you're like, oh, he's good. But when you fucking experience the speed and the power of his hands, you're just like, this man is going to be a champion someday. And then it was the fact that like anytime he went to the ground, you could see the caliber of his jiu-jitsu. Yeah, you could see the black belt come out. Like it was phenomenal. And for a heavyweight to be that good, normally heavyweights is really good at holding or really good at punching. He was good at moving and control and the whole lot. Like he's going to be a champion. So
yeah. I had that prediction when he beat, who did he beat? Andrei Arlovsky?
Yeah, he smashed up Arlovsky.
Yeah, and he took his back quite easily and got the choke. And we don't see that many guys do that to Arlovsky. No. Fair enough, he got a bit chinny at some point in his career, so they say. And then there was kind of a resurgence. But when I saw that fight and I saw how competitive he was, or even how much better he was than Arlovsky, I kind of predicted he could be a future champion. But that's before Cyril Gane and this new kind of wave has already come through. Do you think he's in an age now where he's going up against these... If you take Francis Ngannou or Cyril Gane, you've got to have something different like that jiu-jitsu caliber to be a world champion in that division right now?
Yeah, I think it's just about being just like those guys all have the one skill set, like they're all strikers. Like you take them down. Like I've never seen Gane on his back. Yeah, we've seen in the Stipe fight Ngannou kind of anti-wrestling and defend that and all that. Like, but that was defending against a man who didn't know he was going to be defended. Like as soon as Stipe shot, he was like, "Oh, it's going to be need to shoot here for me now." And when Ngannou did a basic defense, Stipe was like, "Oh fuck, my only plant window." Like he could have if Stipe had more of a wrestling caliber, he could have pushed that and pushed that on whatever. But like, Tom is just absolutely incredible, and he fucking hits so fast and so hard. Like when you're moving around with him, like you're like, this man, it feels like I'm sparring a lightweight, like. And then getting hit by a super heavyweight. Yeah,
definitely want to watch. And this
definitely.
Who was his original opponent scheduled for this? I know
he had a 15 rank guy. I think it was a weird kind of. It was like a Russian name.
Sergey Pavlovich.
Yes. He was a striker.
Yeah, and Spivak steps in on relatively short notice. Spivak is arguably probably a bigger fight for him right now.
Absolutely,
than Pavlovich, yeah. So it's worked out well for him, and you'd be hoping that on the short notice he's had the full camp for a similar style of guy. I know Pavlovich would lean more towards the wrestling, but it's a good fight. We will talk about the main event first. You have Derek Brunson going in against Darren Till. Derek Brunson's on a 4-fight win streak, I believe, and Darren Till is 1-3 in his last 4. But I mean, you look at the competition he's been facing of late.
And two injuries as well. So he tore his shoulder and his knee.
That's it. Yeah. And there's a lot of question marks over whether he's the guy at 85, because obviously he moved up from 70. I never believed he was a 170 pounder. I couldn't understand how he got down there. He looks more natural at 185. And he looks like one of the bigger guys in the division, even still. He's
a big guy. When you actually see him in person, he's actually a very, very big guy. And the one thing I took from being there for the week with him, his mindset was very, very good. Like all the lads taking the piss out of him, being like, "Oh, Brunson's going to KO you" and stuff like that, like just taking the piss out of him, like. And you could see that he really, really wants his fight, like, and he's going to do damage. Like, yeah, in good shape as well. He worked like the 4 days I was there, like he was in the gym early every day, working hard. You know, like it's definitely a different Till than we've normally seen. You know, the joke. Even when you see him during the interviews and stuff, like I watched a few of his interviews, and it's like you get the normal Darren Till just taking the piss and stuff, like, but he's very serious. You know, like.
Very good. Yeah, like we look at even the last 3 losses that he has had. Tyron Woodley, when he was champion, when Woodley was Woodley, that needs to be prefaced.
Yeah.
You have the Robert Whittaker loss, who, I mean, Robert Whittaker is the guy at 185 pound, not named Izzy Adesanya. I always say that. And the loss to Masvidal, which was that was a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, no, it was,
especially in the striking department. But I think he just got caught in that one. Other than that, the guy's had a perfect record in the UFC. You know, he's a guy that he's been out for so long and he's had injuries. I don't think we've seen the best of Darren Till yet. I still think he's a legit contender for a title.
Like if you think his last fight was Fight Island, like that was a long time ago. Like so definitely, I think this is the layoff is the only thing that would worry me. Like being out for so long, like.
And Derek Brunson, obviously, 4-fight win streak, being relatively impressive. But my concern with Derek Brunson is who he's beaten are guys with a lot of hype, but not a lot of substance just yet.
Yeah.
So you look at Edmund Shabazian, you look at Kevin Holland, even Ian Heinisch to a certain extent. I know he's been in the UFC for a long time, but who has he competed against at that very high level? And they're all guys that match Brunson's style that come in.
Yeah.
You could argue Till does the same though. If Brunson can come in with that wrestling style and chain them together, is he going to be able to keep a Till on his back? Now, I'd imagine Till working with Aspinall
and Mike Grundy as well.
And Mike Grundy, that wrestling defense is on point, but
offensive wrestling is very good as well in that gym. Like, they're just absolute killers there. Like, they've got a really, really, really good gym. Even if you look at his last kind of win before he kind of pushed for Izzy, like he fought Machida in 2017, like, and that'd be the only kind of name there, like, you know, really, like,
and that was Machida, very much
old Machida, like, So he hasn't really fought, as I said, anyone of substance, really, like.
What do you think are Darren Till's keys to victory here? Obviously, just to keep it standing. Do you think on defeat, Derek Brunson has no chance?
Absolutely no chance. Till's striking is phenomenal. Like, he's a very feinty striker, kind of. But when he hits you, like, he's a big boy. Like, so when he hits you hard. Like, I reckon keep the fight standing. If Brunson shoots for takedown, defend it, push him off, strike again. Like, I reckon we get a KO victory here.
Yeah, I was torn on this one. I'm with you in the sense, like, my prediction is going to be Darren Till KO. But I'm laboured in that decision in that we haven't seen Till in a long time. We haven't seen him, and his last fight was the Whittaker loss. It was a tough one. I think there's two sides to Darren Till at the moment. If we get the best Till, I think he runs through him and gets the KO.
Yeah.
But I think if we get a hesitant Till by any means, I think Derek Brunson could catch him. I think
definitely, yeah.
I think Derek Brunson's best way to take Darren Till down is an overhand right, crack him a little bit, and then start to work. Yeah. And I think if he does get him down at any point early in the fight, he'll continue that trend. He'll be able to take him down after that.
If Till loses, what's next for him then?
It's a tough one. You're going to have to go down the division a little bit and start.
But then he's on two losses in a row then, like,
and 1-4 in 5.
Yeah.
So it would be a very bad luck. He'd have to get a couple of wins. If Till is still right there, in my opinion, but the time off, I think he'd be allowed another couple of fights to get back in.
Absolutely.
Once he's able to chain a couple of fights together.
If he wins, what's he get next? Who does he get?
It's hard to say. Like,
the division's fucked up right now, like.
The division is stacked. You have Whittaker, obviously, Izzy at the top.
Yeah.
You have a couple of guys around there, maybe a Cannonier.
Yeah.
Could
give him a Costa's matched up, isn't he, though, to fight?
Paulo Costa is matched with... No, I don't know if he is.
I think he was talking about someone, yeah. Him versus Paul would be a good one.
Yeah, like, we can have a look at it there now. We'll have try and look it up, but it's one of those where, regardless who he's facing, it's going to be top 3 or 4 guys next. If you get through Brunson, because I believe Brunson is 6 at the moment. But either guy wins this, they've got a shout for the title after Robert Whittaker.
I just don't think Brunson goes anywhere with this. Like, he doesn't have that champion caliber, I don't think.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think so. I don't think he has that push to go up there. I don't think he's the man to beat Izzy, you know. I think Till, on his best day, could beat Izzy.
He could certainly give him more of a challenge.
Yeah.
I think just based on the style and the striking, I do believe, Till would be a tougher challenge for Israel Adesanya. But I do think Brunson, for that matter, being 5th, a win over Till, I think he could be awarded a shot after Whittaker. Like, you look who's above him: Costa, Cannonier, Vittori. It would be between Vittori and Brunson, really, that shot.
I'd give Till, if Till wins, I'd give him Vittori and have that fight set up, because they're meant to fight, and then he popped his collar.
That's true as well.
So have him fight Vittori, and then it's a fight then of where the division is after that then, like, you know?
Yeah. I mean, the Adesanya Whittaker one has to happen for that division to move on. But I personally can't see that fight going any other way.
Be lovely to have Till fight Whittaker again for the title. Get a replay of that fight. That was a good fight, like.
Yeah, I think Till, certainly with his social media antics, a lot of fighters, when they go off the map for a certain length of time, they struggle to kind of stay relevant.
Yeah.
But Till has been
always
a master
relevant
of keeping himself relevant in social media, not even doing that many social or media responsibilities.
No, it's just posting memes and getting in trouble, like
coming on the Ariel Helwani show and
mocking his nose.
Some brutal lines, and getting kicked off the show quite regularly. I don't know why Ariel Helwani still has him on. It's obviously for numbers, but look, he's an intelligent guy that way, so he's a guy that I think a lot of people are still behind to make that push.
Definitely.
We both have him in the second fight. Then is the one you'll probably be watching most. Closely. You have Aspinall versus Spivak, and again, we've mentioned that this is on relatively short notice. Aspinall, we've touched on what he's done since he's got to the UFC and the win over Arlovsky in his most recent one. But you look at what Spivak has done of late, and it's very impressive. For me, any win over Olenek, I know the guy is nearly 100 years old, but any win over Olenek is an impressive win. The win over Jared Vandera, who called him out off that Dana White Contender Series.
That was a hit or miss fight, like.
But that's it. It wasn't a very, very impressive win, but it's a banana skin. A guy comes off Dana White Contender Series and calls you out immediately, and you're ranked. The promotion make it happen. You're kind of going,
what are you doing?
How is this nobody getting a shot at me? Like,
also see there that Tom Aspinall was meant to fight him. In 2020.
So that was actually in October 2020. So this is a fight that we were supposed to get the end of last year. Yeah. Look again, and you look at who he's lost to: Walt Harris, Martin Tabora. I know Walt Harris isn't anymore, but they were relatively high ranked guys
when he fought him
in the heavyweight division. So he's a guy that's on the cusp as well.
Yeah,
going to be a tricky opponent, and I believe he's come over from KSW as well. Did he compete in KSW or no?
No, you're wrong with that one.
Absolutely wrong. Who's the other Russian came over from KSW? Pavlovich, possibly. But yeah, look, it's one of those fights where I think we both have Aspinall picking this. I have him an early submission in this. As good as Spivak is in the grappling department, I think Aspinall is just on a different level when it comes to grappling. And that's what impressed me most in the Arlovsky fight, because we talk about grappling and the chain wrestling and the way Stipe handled Francis. There's something different about a guy that can just grab your back as you're standing, bring you to the mat, and you're just suffocated by pressure. I can see him getting it done by submission quite early.
To be honest, I can see him finishing the fight anywhere. He could finish it with strikes. Mm-hmm. He could finish it by ground and pound, or he could finish by submission. It's whatever happens in the fight, like. But he's a finisher. Like he's not a fella to go kind of the fucking 3 rounds and get it and just scave out decision. Like Tom goes in there and he hurts people. Like so, yeah. I'm going to say submission too, just because of the style Spivak is.
And do you think it'll be early or?
I'm thinking second round. Submission. I think first round he kind of plays around with him, lights him up on the feet a bit, maybe takes him down, plays around with him, and then second round then he sinks it right, and then like.
And what did they do with Aspinall after that?
It's a tough one. Scroll down heavyweights.
Yeah. 13.
Tom
Takedown 14. I mean, he's going to have to be lucky at a top 10 guy next.
Maybe give him Tybura.
That's another very difficult fight.
Do you think so? I think Tybura's on the way out.
I don't know about on the way out. Look, he's a guy with a lot of miles on the clock, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But he's also a grizzly vet. For a guy that's and the one thing Tybura will do very well is in those grappling exchanges, if Tybura gets on top, he won't give you anything.
No.
Like, if he gets on top, he's going to be very heavy pressure.
Yeah.
And you fear that Aspinall might start to play that jiu-jitsu game from bottom, which is a risk against a heavyweight.
Yeah.
Your best bet probably get back to your feet and try and get the top position yourself for a sweep, but he wouldn't be the easiest guy in the world to sweep.
I wouldn't give him Sakai or I wouldn't give him Christakis. Those are really, really easy fights for him.
Well, I think the Christakis one is... It would make no sense making that fight because they're the two young guns in the heavyweight division right now. I mean, most of these guys are 50 years plus.
I'd give him Tybura. I think that's a great fight for him. I think, and that's a big name from takeaway. I personally think Tybura's not going to move from 8. It's like he's going to stay there. Yeah, he's not a fella running for a title. Like, he's not a fella.
No,
they're not going to cut him now. Like, you know, they'll leave him there, be kind of like a little gatekeeper to fight all the new dogs. The way Orlovsky kind of was the way he fought like the new dogs, and if he beat him, then those new dogs got pushed back and knew they had to work. And then if you beat Orlovsky, then you pushed into rankings, you know?
Yeah.
That's the way Orlovsky kind of was there. He still kind of is. Like, I feel like maybe how Tybura is that, like, let him fight the new dogs. And if they beat him then, they're pushed title, like, you know?
If you look just at the top 5 in that division there for heavyweight.
Yeah.
Top 5, top 6 even, maybe include Jairzinho Rosenstruck in this because he's had a tough run of luck.
Yeah.
And you go outside of that, is, in your opinion, Tom Aspinall and Chris Daukaus the only two guys that we currently have ranked that could break into that top 6? Because my opinion, I think they're the only two guys that could possibly get in there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Mate, Spivak is another one. Like, you know, he has this tough fight ahead of him right now, and you would say taking Tom Aspinall on short notice is a very, very silly move. Yeah. You know,
but he fancies himself as one of those top guys as well. Yeah,
but like, don't take a young killer on a few weeks short notice. You know, take him on a full camp. I would say Sergey would be the only one there. Like, but then like a lose to this now pushes him back down. You know,
that's true.
So yeah,
my thing is Spivak. I think he beats 8 out of 10 heavyweights in the world, but I don't think he's top 6, top 7.
No, not
I could be proven wrong. I think Tom Aspinall. But I don't think just yet. I think he needs another 2 before he breaks into that top 6. Because I think if he gets thrown against one of those guys now, as much as good as he is, it could be a little bit deer in headlights at the early stage of his career. It depends. I mean, if you give him a Rosenstruck or someone that's not had as many fights, maybe not so much. And Chris Daukaus is another guy, but I need to see a little bit more of Chris to affirm that kind of opinion. But yeah, the heavyweight division right now is very much top heavy, at the very top. But interesting fight to see which one of those guys gets a step closer towards that. But we both have Aspinall picked in that one. The next one on the main card, we have David Zawada versus Alex Morono. David Zawada is, I think he's 3-0 now in the promotion. He's had a relatively good start, or there we go, 1-3 in the promotion.
You're wrong with that one, bud.
Yeah. Why did I think he was?
He came from KSW.
Yeah. Either way, I've the wrong fella altogether. But yeah, 1-3. But then again, if you look at who he's fought Danny Roberts, Ramazan Ameev, Jiang Liang Li. None of them are easy fights, and he does. I remember the guy now. Yeah, the triangle choke against Abubakar.
Yeah,
and Abubakar was undefeated going into that, and he was another. He's apparently Khabib's cousin, but we don't really know Khabib kind of joked about him being his cousin, but I think they all have the same name over that part of that village or whatever. So, but he came over undefeated, and he was that guy to beat. So that's his impressive win going in against Alex Morono, who, if like Alex Morono has had some run of luck. The guy beat Reese McKee, and then he was given the Sergio Pettis fight, then the Donald Cerrone fight.
There's some big fights
like they're huge names for a guy on the cusp. I don't know if he's quite ranked yet after the win over Donald, but he's thereabouts.
But then he fought Donald when Donald was on the way out. Like that was a bad Cerrone. Like,
but he also fought. You could argue he fought Pettis on the way out as well.
Lost to Pettis on the way out.
Yeah. Like,
but Pettis is a man who could be literally on the brink of being cut, and he'll still put on a fight. Like, he's always there. Like,
and look, Pettis is certainly not an aged fighter. He's still a young guy.
And they lost to Chaos Williams as well. Like,
which Chaos Williams with a brutal knockout in that one.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what he does. He'll catch you early, or he's beatable.
Yeah.
But outside of that, the guy's had 12 fights now in the UFC, and he's bided his time, but he's got some good names on his record. He's a guy that could very easily break into the rankings, but I don't think this is the fight to do it.
No.
I personally would have Morono picked in this one, but yeah, it's. I don't think Zawada's a big enough name to be getting him ranked if he's not already. Because I had a feeling he broke into 15, but yeah, Daniel Rodriguez is after replacing him in there. So I don't think this is the fight to get him back up there. But I do predict a KO victory for Alex Morono in this one.
I'm going to pick Alex Morono as well. I was going to go Zawada, just didn't piss you off, but now that I look at the records and see
that he's not doing it.
He's 3-1. I'm just like, no, he can't. Well, look, it's MMA. Anything can happen, but just by looking at records and looking at opponents, I think Morono's the man to beat him. Then
again, you know yourself. Any guy that comes over from KSW,
the tough guys,
they're going to be tough, and they're going to be hard to get out of there. It's not going to be. I'd argue it's not going to be the best fight in the world.
No, it's a fight.
Morono's style isn't the most come forward, and Zawada, from what I remember, he wants to take the fight to the ground and make it ugly. So I just see Moreno kind of outpointing him and possibly getting a KO, TKO late. The next one, we have a light heavyweight fight, and I'm actually looking forward to this fight. Khalil Rountree versus Modestas Bukauskas, former Cage Warriors champion Bukauskas. And he goes through stages of a bit of hype.
Yeah.
And he has some good wins, but
and then loses
on a 2-fight skid at the moment.
But then if you look at the guys he fought, like Jimmy Crute, killer, like absolute
killer. But I would argue Oleksiuk.
No, not a killer.
He's a guy you want to be beaten if you want to be ranked. Put it that way.
Yeah. So you look at 2-1 in the 1 and 2 in your UFC.
Yeah, he's both these guys, as far as I know, are close to the chopping block.
I think they're young. I think Bukauskas is young enough that he won't get cut.
But you'd argue because he's only had one UFC win.
Yeah.
If you go 1 and 3, no matter how young you are, they're going to say you don't cut it.
It's like heavyweight too. Like they don't have that many. Like,
and that's in their favor. I'll give them that. But. And then you've Khalil Rountree, who did look like a killer, and looked like one of those guys that could be on a run towards a title run, and then ran into Johnny Walker, that spinning elbow or that
the
upwards elbow. Got a win back off that against Eric Anders.
Eric Anders is a big name as well, like tough opponent.
He's been fighting top guys in that division: Paul Craig, Gokhan Saki.
We know Paul Craig is a huge one, like.
Yeah. And then obviously the loss to Prachnio, again, another guy you'd want to be beating if you want to be considered a top guy in that division.
Yeah.
Like the Yankutalaba loss, I understand. Another one, elbows from Mount, a tough loss. And if you've Yankutalaba and Mount, you're gonna you're not gonna last long. Who do you fancy in this one? It's do you think first? Whoever loses leaves town? Are they there?
No, I think it's one more fight, then they lose that. I think they give them one more, I think. This is a big enough fight, and it's drawn. It's a main card fight. think maybe next fight they get cut if they lose again. Like if they come off 2.
They're two guys that arguably are good enough to break into the top 15. Just have had a rough.
Are they though? I don't know.
I don't
know if they have the its of it. Like
I think both guys are good enough technically, but both guys are susceptible to a knockout loss.
Yeah, definitely.
Which at light heavyweight,
it's risky.
Yeah.
It's risky.
You're going to come up against your Johnny Walkers, your Jimmy Cruz, your
guys who are
Thiago Santos.
Swinging for the fences, like.
Yeah.
I want to say Roundtree does it by decision. Yeah,
I'm the same. I have Roundtree by decision in this one. I've been a fan of his since The Ultimate Fighter. I think he's an explosive fighter, a good fighter, but just of late he hasn't looked himself.
No.
Like his record 8-5. It's insane to think a guy is hanging around there with an almost plus or 500 record.
Yeah.
But I don't think his record does him justice. Like if you look at the guys he's competed against from his 10th professional fight to now, or even earlier from his 8th professional fight to now, he's taken on some of the very, very best in the world. I think he needs to take a step back. I don't know if Bukauskas is a massive step back, but take a step back and start competing against some of the lower ranked guys and get a few wins under his belt before he starts competing for those top 10 spots again. The last fight in the card is certainly an interesting one, and we forgot to mention as well that this card is on earlier because obviously there's a lot of European interest in this card.
Well, you have 1, 2, 3, 4. You have 4 Liverpool fighters.
Molly McCann as well.
And Paddy as well, yeah. So
out of 2 different gyms. But I mean, if you look at the main card, there's a European interest on every fight.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have Darren Till in the main event. You have both in the co-main. David Zawada, German, and Modestas Bukauskas, Lithuanian. And you have Paddy Pimblett in the opening fight in the main card.
Yeah.
Tell me, is Paddy, because I mean, all the talk about Paddy, that he's the next big guy and he's going over, I believe I saw a comment about he's going to go and get Dana in a headlock, Hunter and Sean Shelby and all these guys in a headlock and tell him he's the next big deal. Do you think he's that guy?
No. I think for a man who does that much talking, he doesn't back it up as well, you know. Like he has some sketchy fights in Cage Warriors, like, and some really bad losses as well.
Yeah.
And to still talk the amount of shite you've done, like, you know, you're like, ugh, it's a bit in your head. Like, even there, I saw a snippet of an interview he did, and they were like, oh, how's it feel to be here now, do you know? And he's like, oh, I'm meant to be here and all that. Like, you're like...
So here's my take on the Paddy Pimblett thing. I think there's something about him. Someone sprinkled a little stardust on him. He's like, he has all the makings of a star.
He does, yeah, he's all the attributes.
But his stand-up is horrible. No, I'll get to it, but his stand-up is horrible, and he's too often coming into fights out of shape. Like, horribly out of shape.
Yeah.
Remember the Julian Erosa fight where he puked blood after they somehow gave him the decision? I think he, in his own head, he's destined to be the star. He doesn't realise that he has to put in the work. Now, what I will say is, the last 2 times I've seen him compete, the last 2 versions of Paddy Pimblett have looked the best and then the best again.
Yeah, definitely.
Of what I've seen of him. I think someone has had a word in his ear and gone, look, it's great to have this star power and to be the guy.
But you got to work.
But you have to put in the work and get big victories and do whatever.
Talent can only get you so far, like.
I hope he's coming over to the UFC and makes himself that guy that is putting in the work. Because I think if he puts in the work, he could be a star. I don't know about champion, I don't know about whatever.
Yeah, but he can be a star, definitely, yeah.
But we look at like Sean O'Malley, who still isn't ranked and is a star in the UFC.
I don't think he has that power, though. I don't think he has that stardom. He doesn't have the Sean O'Malley, that factor, like.
I know there's only 60 million people in the UK, but he's huge draw in the UK. He can sell out venues on his own in the UK.
Do you think he can?
Yup. Cage Warriors put him when he was out of shape, when he was this, that, and other thing. Cage Warriors put on cards just built around Paddy Pimblett's name. They actually announced a card about 6-7 years ago. They announced a card and they only announced the main event and it sold out. It was Paddy Pimblett versus in some Fighter X.
Yeah.
And it sold out before they announced.
But then the UFC that's big leagues, like, you know.
100%. I know being the big dog at the small show doesn't make you the big dog at the big show, but that quality and that star power is certainly there. He's got something about him, and I know that Liverpool wit plays into what we talk about. Darren Till.
Yeah.
I think Darren Till personally is one of the funniest fighters on the roster.
Oh, absolutely.
I think for me he's far more palatable than Paddy Pimblett. His rhetoric it's kind of more akin to what we would find humorous.
I think Paddy's trying to be I think Paddy's trying to be like a Liverpool version of Connor.
Yeah.
And it doesn't come across that well, I find.
No,
I find he needs to find his own little character, and I think, I don't know, it's a tough one. I personally don't like him. But I don't like how he sells, you know.
Yeah.
His fighting, it's okay. He's a really good jits guy. He's got really, really good slick ground game. His striking is meh. But like a good enough fighter, don't like how he sells himself. I just don't. I think the whole fact he was like, oh, I turned down the UFC because I wasn't ready and all that, like, and I said no to them.
And he was not ready.
No, not at all.
I can confirm he was not ready.
But like, don't talk shit about the UFC before you're even in there, do you know?
Yeah.
But yeah.
And I think that's what built up some of the hype and some of the mystique that UFC offered him quite young, just because of that whatever he had outside of fighting, and he turned them down. I think that made him a bigger star than he was.
Yeah.
Look, we're gonna find out real soon. He's getting in there against Luigi Vendramini, tough enough guy. I think he's had 2 fights or 1 fight in the UFC, 3 fights in the UFC, so he's 1-2 now. It's a nice kind of setup fight. And I'm not saying it's an easy fight, but it's a nice setup fight for Pimblett to come in and get that first victory, especially against mostly a striker. He does have good ground game, good grappling, but I don't think he'd be on Paddy's level down there. I think Paddy will look to take this down quite early, and I can see a first round submission for Paddy Pimblett.
Won't say submission then?
And I think it'd be very interesting to see how Paddy carries himself in the post fight.
Yes. It's a big thing of how he carries himself now. This could be make or break for him, I think. Because
that's it. Like we've seen him for years, and we've seen that line of.
But the UFC audience haven't.
They haven't seen him. Will they warm to him? Won't they warm to him?
It's a big one for him now.
We'll find out if he's going to be a star or not. So you're saying you have submission as well?
I have submission. I'm not going to say around because Paddy is that kind of fighter where it could be anywhere, like, you know.
Yeah.
It could be 10 seconds and it could get submission, or it could be third round near the end of it. Like.
Scraping a decision.
Yeah. So
after losing the first 2 rounds, very possibly. There is we won't give our predictions, but just to point out as well, we're talking about the European interest on that card. You also have Molly McCann on that card. You mentioned another Liverpool fighter.
Yeah.
You have Jack Shore, another undefeated.
He's actually a new opponent because I'm sure he was meant to fight Said Nurmagomedov.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're a new opponent.
That's short notice. Well, I think that's only a week that was cancelled.
Said Nurmagomedov withdrew.
Yeah, so that it's only less than a week ago that was or a week ago roughly that was cancelled.
You have Julian Rosa and Charles Duran.
Jourdain. That's the only fight except the Dalsha Lungyambula and Marc-Andre Barrio. That doesn't. Oh no, sorry, Marcelo Rojo. So the first 3 don't have European interest, and the rest do. But I mean, there's a lot of guys there, especially there's a lot of guys there kind of from the Cage Warriors era, that have come through, that were projected stars. So you've Jack Shore, who was a huge star coming over. You have Paddy, was a huge star coming over. Molly was a huge star coming over. Even Modestus Bukauskas was a huge star from Cage Warriors coming over.
Won the belt and got signed.
Tom Aspinall as well, yeah.
I think Till was in Cage Warriors too.
I don't know if he competed in Cage Warriors, did he?
Maybe 1 or 2 fights. I don't know.
He was over in Brazil kind of during the Cage Warriors era.
Definitely had 1 fight in there.
No, mostly regional and in Brazil, yeah. Came over. Every fight was in Brazil before he made the move to the UFC. But yeah, like interesting one for fans of Cage Warriors to see this card being put together.
Definitely.
Several former champions. We'll see
really
how
good card.
And we know the Cage Warriors guys have kind of struggled.
Yeah.
In the move over, Jack Shore's probably been the most successful of late.
Well, Tom Aspinall.
And Tom. Sorry, Tom has done very well, yeah.
Well, I disagree with that now.
Who's done well outside of those two?
Well, Molly McCann has done fairly okay. She lost her last fight, but
yeah,
you know, she's a tough cookie.
Yeah.
You have guys like Nathaniel Wood,
who's 500 over there as well.
But has tough opponents.
That's it.
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot of guys going over there.
Paul Craig
was Cage Warriors.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'll give you that one, yeah. But there's a lot of guys making the transition over in the last 5 years.
Connor.
But I'm talking the last 5 years. That have gone over and
struggled. Yeah.
The likes of Reese McKee.
Yeah.
You know, getting caught and coming back. There's a lot.
John Phillips.
There's a lot more of those stories than there has been the success stories
definitely.
the last 5 anyway. But we're seeing a lot of those guys on one card this weekend, so it'll be good to see how they get on and see if they can transition into big opponents next for their career. We do need to get the bets of the week. I didn't forget it this week. As tired as I am.
Look at you.
So
hell.
We'll let you go first this week.
I'm gonna go Till by KO, Aspinall by KO. No, Aspinall submission. Sorry.
Yeah.
Go Alex by KO, and then go Paddy by submission. So all finishes.
4 finishes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm going to go. Yeah, I just had the 2 finishes. I had Paddy and Tom to win by submission.
But then I upped you then, like.
Yeah, so I feel bad now, like I should add something to it, but no, I'm going to stick to my bet. Tom Aspinall and Paddy Pimblett both to win by submission. It's not going to be the best odds.
So if you want the safer one, go you. If you want to go a bit risky, go me.
Yeah, so you're adding Darren Till and Alex Morono by KO.
Yeah.
Interesting. That won't be bad odds. That'd be about 10 to 1.
Yeah.
15 to
1.
Be a good one. Not bad. Listen, thanks again for getting me up at 9 o'clock in the morning, and
I have to go train now. So no, German, you're going back to bed. You'll edit for a tiny bit, and then you go back to bed.
Listen, the edit for a tiny bit takes about 6 hours.
Yeah, but like
that's work.
That's nap every 4. Like
when it's uploading or whatever, I'll 100% be taking a quick nap. But thanks for coming on again this week.
Pleasure being on.
We've missed, I think, only 1 week now in the last few.
We missed last week. I think last week. Yeah, just because I was up in Dublin.
But we'll aim to sort ourselves out now and get it going every week.
I think we have the Bellator next week.
Yeah.
And we have a PFL coming up, I want to say, soon.
PFL is done towards the end of October. October 25th, I believe, is the finals.
Yeah.
So that's a big one.
I think we have a few big UFCs coming up.
266, 267.
I think we have like the October card will be a huge one.
The next 2 are both
small
2
ones?
title fights.
Oh yes,
so they're both 2 huge cards, and then one of them has the Nick Diaz return.
Yeah,
and
some
then
big cards coming up.
We're looking at December as well, having the lightweight title on the line. I think that's almost a done deal. So yeah, there's huge fights coming up, but we'll be covering them all. I think next week is Bellator. Yeah. I don't know if there's a UFC next week. I haven't looked that far ahead. But make sure go over on Facebook, give us a like on the MMA Opinion, subscribe on our YouTube channel, Guts and Glory MMA. Where can we find you on social media?
Ryan Spillane MMA on Instagram and Twitter, and Ryan the Hook Spillane on Facebook.
Thank you very much for tuning in.